Welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking. I'm Deanna. It's great to see you. I am doing one of the most common occupations in my life. I'm folding wool right now. Is this something that you get into on a very often basis as well? I was just looking at some of the wool that I have dyed in the last 48 hours. I've dyed 60 something colors to put these sets together, and I realized I'm just struggling with the final eight, right? It's like judging the big E again, right? Making these difficult decisions is so hard. Good morning, everybody. It's great to see you. I am sorry I was late posting the thing this morning. Incredibly, I was up at 5 working on our Grandma Moses class, and it just didn't occur to me to do my normal things at the same time. I just was in this weird alternate parallel track this morning, you know. Volume, okay, volume looks okay. I'm going to check that first from now on. Robyn, happy Wednesday. Great to see you. Sunny day. Cheryl, great to see you. Beautiful day in Maine, too. Oh, heavenly. Just thinking about Maine. What was it that I was thinking about Maine? No, it's Vermont. Yeah, I think I'm planning some more teaching dates. I taught in Maine last year and it was very nice. You know, I noticed somebody on the board, I think it was our group, the Rug Cooking and Punch Needle Club. Somebody posted, is there anybody, maybe it was the Facebook group that's something like rug cooking classes and workshops. Are you in that one? That's also a good one to be in. Somebody posted in that, I think it was, and said, are there any buddies out there in Kennebunk, Maine, who are hookers? And I thought, ooh, I'm going to follow that thread because, you know, that's where Camp Wool used to be. I loved that store. And now Camp Wool is much further up, much further north near Bar Harbor. And that is, sounds like it's just a piece down the road. But if you know Maine and you know that you've got to face like Route 1, particularly if it's like summertime, or autumn time or any time. It's a really long drive. It's like another it's like another world. It's like another country going up that far. Carol, great to see you in Wisconsin. Mom, good to see you. I've got to sort out our other thing. We've got so many events planned right now. And remember, I've got to know what your events are for right now too, because as I drive to the studio in the morning, all I'm seeing our Harvest Festival signs. It is so exciting. All the same, I don't want to miss anything. So make sure that you let me know. The show today is going to be, we're picking up where we left off with a beautiful fiber festival in Wisconsin this past weekend. So we're going to pick up where we left off there. But I also would love to know where the fiber festivals are near you. I'm certainly going to be going to the one in Rhinebeck. I think it's exactly 1 month from now. I think it starts on the 16th or 17th of October, Rhinebeck, New York. But please let me know which ones you're going to. If you have already gone or you're about to go or you got something good going this weekend, please send me some photographs so we can all enjoy what you saw there. We can all share in that fun. Melanie, great to see you. Cloudy and warm in Western Washington. Good to see you. And Michelle, beautiful day there in North Carolina. Oh, I'm glad. Good to see you, Michelle. And Jill in Virginia, you're getting back to your punching. I'm happy to hear that because you're big on your weaving too, I know. Beautiful day in Mount Vernon. I love Mount Vernon. Oh, all these great historic places. Linda, sunny in New Jersey. Oh, I'm so glad. Cindy, good morning in Colorado. Thank you for the Patreon. I really appreciate it. And Lynn, I have unfinished business with you too. I still have not gotten to the store. Good morning in beautiful Tucson. I am glad to hear it. It's a good morning here too. It was such an early morning for me because it occurred to me that I'm teaching the Amish toothbrush class tomorrow, and you can always come on for that if if you don't need the supplies and you just want to follow along with the class. You can certainly do Amish toothbrush with your fingers or a paper clip, something like that, in your own ripped up sheets. That always works too. Oh, Jill says Shenandoah Fiber Festival in Berryville, Virginia, last weekend in September. So that's coming up. Jill, are you going to be going to that and taking some photos? That sounds wonderful. Um, yeah, so tomorrow is Amish toothbrush, and then coming up this weekend, well, Friday night is our bingo night, and I know a lot of people have been buying bingo cards. We're, I think, close to 70 cards, which is kind of a world record for this early in the week, which is very nice. I've got to put the cards together yet. I have not started. I was working on Grandma Moses this morning, and also on Saturday is the Hooking with Yarn class. Sunday is the Hooking with Yarn class in the morning, and then in the evening the Designing Like Grandma Moses class. And I hope that you are signed up for that class because I am so excited. I got myself into such like an emotional dither last night and this morning looking at all this Grandma Moses stuff because it occurred to me. You're right about okay. Also, yes, excellent. Thank you, Lynn. Um, it occurred to me in looking, I was looking over her books and I was getting everything fresh in my mind. And I already had quite a list of exercises that I'd like to do that are completely different from every class I've done before. Because as you can imagine, this is a folk art class. And the idea is to design like Grandma Moses, which would be in a very naive and completely untrained style, right? Completely untrained, because she never got art classes. She went to a one-room schoolhouse, and remember from other coffee times that we've talked about how that situation used to mean, a few months in the spring, few months in the winter, or not, probably not winter, the fall. I mean, it was just intermittent, spotty at best. It was not like a year-round event or even a three-season event. And the only thing that came close for her to doing anything creative was map making, which is just so odd. That is one of the things, obviously, that's fallen by the wayside. I suppose at the time they thought it was a good way to combine drawing skills, writing skills, maybe just general knowledge about population and topography, things like that. But in any case, she did her map making at school. And one of her memories, because she wrote a biography, I think in the early 1960s, maybe late 50s. But one of the things that they had her do was draw different areas as maps. And she would always add these little stylized details, like little trees and things, not really stylized in her style, to the map that didn't really need to be there. And she recalls the teacher saying, loving her maps so much because he liked her drawings, that he would ask her to keep them. And he kept her maps. And I just think one of those things when you're out antiquing, right? Finding a map made by a very young Grandma Moses. It would have to be before 12 because at that point she started working at 12 away from home. So it would have to be before 12. But I thought, man, that's so interesting. And, it's just like, for me, when I think about Grandma Moses, on one hand, I think I spent shamefully a good part of my life having gone to art school and taken so many art classes in different places over the years. I got kind of a highbrow, lofty idea of what art should be. But at the end of the day, now that I'm older and all of those, that sort of ego stuff just falls to the wayside completely, for me personally, I look at stuff like Grandma Moses's paintings and they speak to me more than anything because somehow there is some magic built into them because I certainly didn't live at a time when I could recognize people using butter churns and I mean maybe spinning wheels because of our craft but not in daily life and just a sort of domestic occupations inside and outside that people were doing in her paintings. That was not something that overlapped with my life. But somehow those stories, and it is kind of like a national identity too, are built in to the sort of the lore, what you grow up with, literature, storybooks, what you imagine when you hear stories like growing up. I mean, it's all there. And it's so strange to me how it's such a moment in time, but I'm so attracted to it because it's almost like reflexive memory, imagination. I'm going to say it, past life, who knows, is like puts me right there when I'm looking at these paintings. And they are just so meaningful. So I'm really excited. The Design Like Grandma Moses class will be this coming Sunday p.m. and the following Wednesday. Lots of exercises that are absolutely perfect for a person who does rug hooking and punching. The style is 100% match, fingerprint match. So if you're interested in all in designing, this could be a great class for you. It doesn't mean that you are going to make a checkered house or an over the river and through the woods, but you will end up with designs that are very primitive and suited to rug making projects. So that should be a lot of fun. I am so excited about that. One other thing I want to show you, this is what I was working on, that that the orange set was up, right, the bundle. So this one has been selling, the bundle. The Barn Dance Swatch sets are shipping, and the design for them, I'll show you as soon as I know the first person has got it, because it is a mystery pattern, but it is related to a barn dance, spoiler alert. So I got this one up, and I started doing a bunch of others. So I'm just going to show you preview. My monitor is never good, but this is the yellow set that will be posted later with different sort of versions of like honey, golden, ochres. These two look similar on the monitor, but one is a much more citrusy, leaning toward green, and this is like a pale daffodil. This is like a sunflower yellow. So the yellow set is ready to go. I've been making tough choices with these. The red set is ready to go. There's lots of darks, lighters, corals, paprikas, wine. So really, that's probably a better view. Really different. It's amazing when you get going how many colors are in every color family, right? I also did green and brown, but I didn't have time to take them out before the show. This one I'm still struggling with deciding what colors to put in it, the purple. Because again, this is much more blue than the one next to it. So you're not getting the true colors at all on here. But in choosing those crazy eights, I eliminated these guys. And these guys are also really grapey and lovely. We'll see what happens. We'll see what I end up with at the end of the day. So remember to get your bingo cards. Remember to sign up for any of the classes that are coming up that you're interested in. Remember, sign up is about to end for the Hooked in the Mountains Green Mountain class that I'm teaching Proddy and hooking, and a Proddy New Year. Very, very fun class that's coming up in November in Vermont, Montpelier, Vermont. What a great town, capital city for them, smallest capital city in the country. Beautiful place to be. I hope that I see you there. Next weekend, not this coming weekend, but next weekend, I'll be teaching in person in Plymouth, Massachusetts at Plymouth Harbor Knits, PHK, the tapestry pumpkin, right? Trick-or-treat tapestry, the white pumpkin with the kind of Indian summer colors behind. I'll be there in person for that. There's one other thing I wanted to tell you that I was going to be in person for, and it's gone. Oh, so this weekend, just in case you're around too, I know I'm going to try to attend on Saturday if I'm in a good place with my work. My plan is on Saturday, I don't think I told you this, to go to Rhode Island, my favorite state, because the Little Rhodey Thrummers are meeting for, I think, the first time since COVID. At least I've missed it if they've been meeting already. But meeting at the library at Jamestown in Rhode Island. And this is an ATHA chapter that's not an ATHA chapter anymore. So they are not ATHA, they are their own entity, and they're called the Little Rhodey Thrummers. They have a Facebook page. It is made up of a group of such nice, fun people. So I'm going to be, my goal is to be there hanging out with them. And it's a great event, like all guild meetings, whether it's ATHA chapters or otherwise, or more informal. But the president of the guild, whose name is Peggy O'Connor, really, really nice person, is giving a demonstration on dyeing with natural dyes. And I thought, I'm doing this, right? I'm going to start doing dyeing videos, but I have not actually dyed with natural dyes for a couple of years. So it will be great to get a refresher and to see how she's doing it, and to just hang out with other people. So if you're in the area, you might want to think about it too, because at this meeting, you have the chance to sign up $20 for the entire year. You do your dues, and then every event that they have, every meeting that they have, where we're hooking together, and also speakers coming and everything, that's a great bargain for that. You bring your own sandwich and a drink with the top on it, because it's a library. But I will be there this weekend. That's my plan. So maybe that's something you're interested in too. If you are anywhere near here, would be great to see you. So let's come back to where we were. Joy, good morning. Good to see you. Stephanie, good morning. Good to see you. And Nancy, good morning. I was just running my mouth anyway. It's okay. You are perfect. Oh, Lynn. Okay, excellent. When you have time. I know you got a lot of stuff going on. Let's come back to what we were looking at on Monday, was it? Yeah. Ryan, good to see you. Happy Humpy. It is Wednesday already, and just saying that makes me very nervous. So this is where we left off, I think, on Monday at our coffee time. These are photos, but Robyn is online now. She took these at the Wisconsin Fiber Festival. She was there with Carol and Kaz, and they took some lovely photos that we were enjoying Monday, and let's continue enjoying them now. You know, now this is interesting. I'm just noticing for the first time, this one from last week. I wonder if these were done by the same person. I just want to remind you, as you can well see, that these rugs are not tagged. So there are no notations. We do not see who has hooked them or designed them. So knowing that, we are at the fair, same as Robyn and Kaz and Carol, and we're looking at them, and that's all we get. There is no, we're not, oh, Jane, good to see you. I need to send you a message. Good message. So we don't know anything that you don't know, right? But it's just curious with the colors in that and the colors in this. I wonder if it was the same person who hooked them that was thinking, God, I love my warm color palette. Let me blow through some of this orange, red, yellow, brown that I dyed, because both of those are so color coordinated, so seasonal, so lovely, and they both really glow. This one has more of a feel of shading in it, doesn't it? This is almost like, it looks like a transom window or something. Oh, Cat's Gallery, great to see you. It is really pretty. You know, one of the things I think that is helping this rug to glow is the light outline. Don't you think that's a big part of it? Because the outlining is almost reading like solder, like soldering wood, like lead. Um, and because it's light and because it has that large patch in the middle, it's drawing our eye back, and it's still reading to me as like stained glass soldering, and it's light, it's giving it such a glow, like the sunlight is really hitting it. That red fabric that's being used, the patterned fabric, is really helping a lot, giving this hazy effect. The darker colors are shaded too. This is a really interesting piece. What a great piece. You know, do you ever think of when you sit down and you have a surplus of a certain color, or you're leaning toward using a certain color, and you're really trying to work on a monochromatic or a duochromatic rug or something like that? You have a special project in mind for yourself. And do you ever think about, when you think about a hit or miss, the possibility of, instead of a traditional geometric hit or miss, maybe doing something more like a stained glass piece? Because certainly Dover Books has so many, and a lot of the designs are online too, copyright-free images, historic images that you can take of stained glass windows that you could handle in this exact way. And in doing so, you just plug in your colors like a coloring book. It's a great way to do your hit or miss. And what happens when you get to a big piece of glass that you can't fill because you thought you had enough wool, but it turns out you don't? You just put another line through it, like it broke, right? And it's had a repair, and you just split it and get as far as you can get, and then you move to your next color. It's just a great way to tackle hit or miss without doing a traditional hit or miss, right? Just another option. I think it's a great option too. That is a really lovely piece. Let's see what else we got here. Okay, and right below that piece is this pretty piece, another kind of compass rose design, really lovely. Interesting, the star in the middle, you know, it looks like those architectural, I'm trying to think of what they're called. They're stars. You know when when you're driving around in a historic area and on the sides of buildings you see these beautiful, very ornate metal stars? And you probably know already that they were end caps, because when you see them often in brick buildings, because brick, particularly like here in New England, the brick buildings right on the coast, taking that salt beating and the weather and the winds and the storms of like decades, if not centuries, those brick buildings are always a bit vulnerable. So it's very common to see metal rods borne right through the floor, the ceiling and floor of these buildings, and that would leave a rod at the end as a circle, and they are often capped with these stars, at least here in New England. You see that a lot on older buildings, and it's always interesting to see, because you know you're looking at something older, and you know you're looking at an example of folk art where somebody has gone a step further with something that is essential and turned it into something quite beautiful. This to me looks like one of these stars. I like the balls coming off the star. They look like buds to me. I might be wrong, but they feel like buds. And I love the two borders. These are really interesting borders. The dark inner border, the first band that we hit, it has like this beautiful diamond design, right, with kind of picture frame corners. And it does, Beverly, it looks like a mariner's compass quilt for sure. Absolutely. So pretty. And look at that nice rust kind of marble cake in the background behind it. That's, you know, that's an interesting idea, to do a rust marble cake. It goes really well with that kind of khaki drab army green behind the star. Interesting, isn't it? Carol says the Cream City Guild members do wonderful things with color. Yeah, it is, you know, Carol, it is colorful. Funny that you say that, because now that you say it, I'm realizing these are very colorful rugs. That's interesting. It is like a group sort of identity that these are such like lavishly colorful rugs. My favorite. I love the outer border on this too, because it's almost like partial mosaic, like little dit dot rectangles, but not continued throughout. I think that's really smart. That keeps it interesting, keeps you guessing. It's just a beautiful piece. Carol, did you, Robyn, or Kaz have any of the pieces in here? Are any of these one of yours? I'm just wondering because I would love to say if they are. These are beautiful too. So another, now is that silhouette, is that Wisconsin? Is that the shape of Wisconsin? I'm sorry to ask such a stupid question, but I don't recognize that. I'm guessing it probably is, right? All things considered. You know, I love this. We see this. Hey, Anita, we see this often. I saw this. I've seen Vermont. I've seen one of the Dakotas done this way. I always love to see this. I don't know if, in general, these are original patterns. I know the one of the Dakotas was not. I remember covering that on one of our nights. But I love the idea of taking the silhouette of your state and making that the irregular border inside your rug. And then instead of keeping it as a solid color, filling it with things that relate to the state. In this case, like a one image wonder. I mean, it really is wonderful with the little sort of camper or trailer down below. Gives you the idea of the feel of travel, right? Of adventures. Oh, that's Wisconsin. Oh, what a cutie, huh? What a funny little shape over on the right, isn't it? It's like a little dental pick on the right. How funny. This is a beautiful piece. I think this is a great way to pay tribute to your state. Oh, Carol says, oh, of course, Carol, I forgot you are members of another guild. I remember. I do remember. We had that conversation before. Carol, remind me, what's the name of the other guild in Wisconsin, just so I know? And what is the Cream City? Like, which city is that? Sorry, just wondering. I got inquiring minds got to know, right? And looking down a little further, I'm hoping that I have a larger picture of the Halloween one. I must, right? Because the way I feel about Halloween, we'll have to come back to that. I must have put a larger one of the Halloween image because it's just fabulous. Absolutely beautiful. I wonder if this is I mean, to me, it looks like the Brooklyn Bridge. I could be wrong. I suppose it could be San Francisco, something like that. No, it's too big to be the Brooklyn Bridge. Maybe this is the San Francisco Bridge, do you think? Or maybe it's a bridge in Wisconsin. That's entirely possible. What I love about this piece is the cubist quality to it. Milwaukee is the Cream City. Okay, thank you. That is great. Milwaukee's also the Laverne and Shirley city, right? You know, I have not watched Laverne and Shirley for so long. I've been into the Mary Tyler Moore and the Cheers. I've got to get back to Laverne and Shirley as well. Hello, Doreen. Good to see you. So I'm looking at this piece. You know, this reminds me of, I think it must be San Francisco, the Golden Gate Bridge. It looks big enough, right? There was a movie that came out not that long ago that had something that looked like this as the poster. I want to say the moon over, I don't know. I feel like it was a Woody Allen or something like that. But in any case, this looks like a movie poster to me. It is super deco, but it has this cubist element. The breakdown of the color is so unexpected. The color palette is so unexpected. Moving from, there is teal, if you see bottom left and top right, a kind of a teal color. It looks like jacquard tail to me, like nail on the head color-wise. And in the center is a beautiful rust color. Sometimes that comes up as like a Cushing terracotta, that kind of a shade, terracotta brick and rust brown, different brands. It's basically all the same color. And then over on the left, we have that kind of periwinkle, cool lilac, right, for nighttime. And then the gray, the neutral in the middle with the white. So pretty. The way that it's broken up is very cubist, but superimposed on top of that is this very filigree, detailed bridge with a lot of information in terms of architecturally how it's made. I would be so daunted by this kind of a composition because there's such a balance here between fine, careful work and abstract rendering of color and division of color. So whoever the maker is with this was absolutely skilled and up for the task. I love how at the bottom, the far end of the bridge is like in a circle, almost like a spotlight. Gives me the feel of a murder mystery. Can't you see this as being the cover of a murder mystery book that's like set in San Francisco? I have been watching Monk all the time. Of course, the bridge reminds me of that too. Beautiful piece here. Just gorgeous. Oh, a pillow. Okay, this is very nice. And not only is this a pillow, it's a pillow with Waldoboro. We've been seeing so much more Waldoboro lately, and I'm so happy for that because it really means that this is a bit of a more advanced technique within rug hooking, right? It's the same thing as rug hooking, but just pulling your loops up higher and then trimming them at the end. So just a couple more steps at the end, not making it particularly more technically difficult, but just another thing to practice, right, before it's properly in your bag of tricks. Absolutely beautiful design. I love the division of it. I love the geometry. I love the kind of envelope feel of the corners. It's kind of a trompe-l'oeil effect that I'm getting with those dark creases. I love the ring of light around both circles. I think that really helps with the movement of the piece. I love the central being dark in all of those shades of sunflower. Really pretty. But of course, what I love the most is the Waldoboro. It does have that great pom-pom effect. It draws you right in. It looks so tactile, so inviting. It's such a piece of art. What a lovely pillow. I feel like we've also been seeing a lot more three-dimensional pieces. That's exciting. Good Lord, this is a gorgeous piece. I'm starting to wonder whether the Cream City Guild ever did something with like a compass rose or mariner's compass design in the center, because this must be the fourth or the fifth rug we've seen that has this kind of design, right? We saw some on Monday too, but it's making me wonder whether there was some kind of a challenge maybe to use this particular motif. This is so stunning. Isn't it great to find a large rug like this with this much variety that's also a square? I am so partial to a square. This is initialed, it's dated, there's more than one initial, so it's at least two people working on this. It would be neat if your initials were I am, wouldn't it? I mean, it's like I am, you know what I get? Or if your initials were M-E, right? Mary Engelbreit, I just realized that. The artist Mary Engelbreit, she always signs it M-E. It's just so cute, isn't it? This is just a great piece. I love everything about it. I love all the layers. I love the controlled palette. It's almost like demonstrating for us, even within a very limited palette, there are lots of colors. And that all of those optical illusion games that you find in books will remind you that when you put a color next to another color, it will look different than when you put it next to this other color. And for that reason, as you're lining up colors that are quite similar, and there are a lot of repeats here, you do get different effects. Carol says Cream City does a lot of group challenges, so no doubt they had a compass type challenge. Yeah, I think they must have, because otherwise it is a remarkable coincidence. I love everything about this as well. It reminds me of the old game, the Spirograph. Remember, with the circles and stuff? You put your pen in there and start going to town, making all these crazy shapes like this. I love the scallop design around the edge of the motif. It looks like a spirograph, but it has that almost floral scallopy design around the edge. And that black line, the very fine line, I think is really helping this piece. It makes it so strong in the center. It gives it a bit of a sketchbook quality too. And then that border of blocks, right? Very pop art, different colors. It looks very haphazard, which is great. Keeps things lively. And then the next border out, it's a mashup. It's like a log cabin, the next border, because you've got the diamonds on top, the lamb's tongues on the right, completely different diamonds below. And then on the left, scallops or waves, right? And then when you come to the final border, it's the same thing again. Four different from north, south, east, west, completely different borders. So that's creating such a lot of interest. It's hard to stop looking at this piece. There's so much going on here. It is so pretty. This, even though this seems to be a very large piece, I feel this would be a great beginner piece, because once you get going, it's just a question of moving on to the next part, right? It's just more loops when you start a large project as a beginner. But at the end of the day, this is in large part a hit or miss, and you could color as you go with something like this, paint by number. You could hook by number at this point. You could just say, what's my plan for the next round? A square here, a square there. Okay, next color. That last one had a light outline. This one's going to have a dark outline. It'd be a lot of fun to do this. You would feel like you were flying by the seat of your pants, and you can't make a mistake with this kind of thing because it's meant to be something of a sampler. Jill says, I was told that Waukesha, Wisconsin was the cream city because of all the dairy processing. Carol, I may have been given erroneous information. Maybe. Carol, you're right there, right? So you probably have a handle on all of these cities. I wonder if all cities don't have a tag like that, do they? I'm just wondering because there's so many places around here that are called like the Tin City, the Silver City, the Paper City. It's a lot, and it's interesting. It all reflects the history. But I wonder how many places around the country actually do have like official tags like the something city. Nancy, the borders are so interesting. It gives you a great idea, doesn't it? Because at the end of the day, this is a very simple motif smack in the middle of the composition. And everything after that is like seat of the pants. I mean, it could be that this person is very technical and they planned this out to the T with lots of computer images, experimenting with color fill, in different places. It could be that, but it would be very, very possible and absolutely easy to do this kind of a project. One motif in the center, your favorite quilting motif right in the center, right? And a lot of them are circular. Or if you think about the hexes, the Penn Dutch hexes on the barns, right? One of those, and then you just box it off, and then there you go, Bob's your uncle, right the way around, and you choose as you go. And you say to yourself, I've got these color families. Let's look at what the color families are here. It's kind of a sage green, indigo blue, pumpkin orange, khaki, a lighter cornflower blue, right? And some variations therein, a little bit of ivory. There's not more than 10 colors in this piece. So in that regard, it's a very limited color palette, but doesn't it look wildly colorful? It just goes to show you what you can do, and it doesn't have to be on the scale. You could do a smaller piece like this. Just draw your center and then figure it out as you go. Take your Sharpie out, trace the grain line right from that circular center if you go with a circle. If you go with a square design, just keep adding borders. Be careful about measuring with a ruler, but you could easily do this and figure out when you want to stop. Maybe designed with quilt software. Yeah, absolutely, Beverly. There's lots of that kind of thing. Could have been designed that way. Really interesting piece. I'm going to move on, but I am having trouble pulling away from it because it's an example of so many things that we talk about, and that makes it really interesting. Oh, come on. Now, I love this piece. I know we've seen this in Rug Cooking magazines, a different version of it. This is certainly one of these antique postcards that has been done up probably by Cushing. The corn on the cob vehicle with the turkeys having a day out. I'll never remember who the person was who did it before. It looks like they're flying through some water or something. It looks like they're getting a good splash coming up from the ground. I love this piece, and I love these colors. And I feel like I have not seen this exact one before because I know that it would be kind of burnt on my brain that the combination of the salmon and coral leaves are exquisite with the dove gray and that light pink background. That is like a wood rose background. It's not a straight on pink. It's a wood rose, wild rose, that kind of a Cushing pink. It is so beautiful. Look at the way the leaves are handled with some color changing, with some shadows and veins. Really pretty. And then look at the way it sounds so crazy to say it, but the corn cob car is looking. These big fat kernels, right? I mean, it is just so adorable, not to mention the turkeys. It's hard to get two turkeys who are darker tones to be this well done. They read as being in silhouette with the exception of, obviously, the accessories. Very nice, the driving cap on the male turkey and the bonnet and the shawl on the female turkey. But look at the male turkey's tail. I mean, talk about stained glass window. That is such a beautiful effect. It looks like this is probably one of my top 10 stupid things, but it looks to me like the wheels are like an orange slice or something like that. I mean, it would make more sense if it was like a nut or something, but it still looks like there's a food reference there. I think this is so, so charming. I absolutely love this piece. I like the oak leaves on the bottom left too. I would have been tempted to put some more of the orange ones in there for that diagonal pull the other way. We've got a lot of top left, right, northwest to bottom right. We've got a lot of diagonal pull in that direction. I'm almost longing for one orange leaf on the bottom left for the diagonal pull to work in the other direction too, so that your eye is making the X. Remember how important some of these basic this is a perfect composition. There's nothing wrong with it. but I think I would have been tempted to do that, to drag the eye diagonally the other way for the final flourish. Absolutely love this rug. Absolutely love it. And I know I've seen it hooked at least once, but this is my favorite because the colors are exquisite. And that tail is really, really something. Doreen, you also say lemon slice. Okay, good. Because sometimes they say stupid things like, look at that eggplant, and you're all like, that's a carrot kind of thing. Um, what a beautiful spot. Okay, so now we've looked at some of these rugs. I'm going to have to close in on that Halloween character because I don't remember having one just of that slide. And with me being the Halloween fool that I am, we're going to have to get over there. I want to look at that, the irregular border on the other geometric, the very colorful one we're seeing on the far right. Let's do our trick and pull in a little bit here. See if that's not really enough, is it? It's never enough. All right, let's see. Gosh, I feel like when you wake up at 5, you need 2 coffees before you get your brain on. All right. Oh man, do I love that. Now that to me, that's got to be another Cushing. It's got to be another postcard. But oh, I just live for these early Halloween images. I'm going to remind you again, if you have Halloween images, please be sending them to me at ribboncandyhooking@gmail.com. They don't have to be original designs. They can absolutely be commercial designs. Anything autumn or Halloween I could definitely use right now. And I would love to have something of yours. But very cute image, kind of borrowing from the idea of the pilgrims, right? We know now that the pilgrims did not have buckles on their shoes and hats, but it's one of those things that that was done in art and illustration at the time and took a long time to shake. Love this little jack-o'-lantern, absolutely. This is just an amazing piece. The way that the clothing is hooked is very simple. The cat's face is very simple, very effective. He looks just like a cat, very indifferent, right? But in contrast to that, for me, the softness of the boy's face and the detail on the pumpkin's face are very different. Those two things match for me, while the rest of it is done in a much more graphic style. I like it when one piece has multiple styles in it. I think it creates a lot of, guess what, interest. I also like how this piece is very orange heavy. But heavy is a good thing for me. Oh, good, Ryan. Good, good, good. Um, because for me, personally, it's a personal aesthetic thing, isn't it? But I love it when I look at a color and I see colors that are like it, but aren't quite the same. I love that in clothing. I love that in rugs. I love that in design because it keeps you working at it. I'm looking at the flesh color and I'm looking at the background color, and they are not the same. It's a soft kind of mauvey pumpkin in the background, and it is a true pumpkin on the garment, right? And although they have a similar tone, they are completely different colors. I love that the background was not done in a robin's egg blue or white. I love that it was done in a different shade of orange. To me, it really adds to the charm of this piece. I just can't get enough. Let me bring it down a little bit now. I didn't realize how large this abstract piece was. This abstract piece is really something else. It's another great idea for you, right? So this long piece here on the right, this irregular kind of a runner, so exciting, so interesting. Why can't you make up your own shape like this and just do it? It's got so much movement. It looks like a river of colors. We're partway to a Billy Joel song here. It's so beautiful, and they have used the same shape throughout. So how do you accomplish this? You draw horizontal lines carefully on your backing, equidistant, use your ruler so they're pretty close. Do they have to be exactly the same size every row? Absolutely not, because if they are exactly the same size, people will think that you bought it at Home Goods. So stay away from that. Make it special. And you could do this mathematically with a ruler, or you could just cut. That's not a trapezoid, is it? Is that a trapezoid shape, or do the? It might be a trapezoid. I'm always confused between the difference between a parallelogram and a trapezoid. I think it's a trapezoid. But in any case, this funky shape, right? If you drew that once to the right height, you could just flip and carry and draw as you go. That's what a dummy like me would do. I would do Edward Frost stencil times. And It'd be a fun episode, like a parody episode for us, wouldn't it? Edward Sandsfra's stencil times, like fooling around with very basic stencil shapes, but sometimes that's how you get there. And if you're like me and you don't trust yourself with anything because you've boobed it up too many times, sometimes it's just easier to say, I know that mathematically I could do something very simple here with a yardstick, but I would be more comfortable with a small stencil doing it like from shape to shape. That would be me. You always have to work in the way that makes the most sense for you. Do not work against your nature. Never work against your nature. It will not pay off, ever. All right, let me see where we left off here. Hang on. I'm going to speed up a little bit too. Holy mackerel. Okay, there we go. Yeah. All right. Oh my God. I feel like this is a Sharon Smith. I wonder if there's any votes out there. I feel like it is. I absolutely love this piece. It looks like her. I love her. The whimsy. She did a lot with personifying vegetables. So this to me really looks like that. This is so amazing. I just love this piece. I'm going to have to get this pattern for myself. I love the kind of tomato soup ground and the black background for drama. I love all of these fancy vegetables stepping out. Now, it's never going to pop into my mind, but there was an artist of the Victorian period, maybe this is going to bear some research here, who, God, I almost had it, who was quite famous for drawing what became like a widely available prints, like lithos, vegetables dressed in very fine clothing, like historical costumes from different periods. If you know who I mean, let me know. I'm going to be curious about that until I resolve that in my head. I don't want to wake up at 3 thinking about that. But this reminds me of that artist because it was a lot of vegetables stepping out in this very way. Very fun. I'm going to guess that that's a pickle on the left, and that's my favorite. He's an extremely relaxed pickle. Sitting there with kind of this grape leaf ruff around his neck, reclining, maybe, getting ready for some TV or some yoga. They all have the funniest, oh, Kirsten, good to see you. They all have the funniest clothing on. I mean, it's hilarious, it's hysterical, it's so endearing. I absolutely love it. How would you update the personified vegetable rug? How would you update the it's a hard sentence to read. How would you update the personified vegetable rug? So, okay, so let's do it. So if I were going to update it, I'm going to say, instead of update, I'm going to say, what if I wanted to put a different spin on this rug and do something slightly different? You could, just as an idea, you could change out the central veg, right? And so in this case, it looks like it's a pumpkin. You could certainly swap that out to be something else if you didn't want it to be maybe so seasonal. You could replace their attire, right, and put them in something more like evening gowns or something different. If you wanted to keep up the personified look of them being dressed, you could add a different joke, and I don't know if it would bear the face on the central pumpkin. But if you were to add a different joke, like there was a bird or there was a rabbit in the background, something a bit dramatic and threatening that maybe was about to descend on a little bit of danger, a little hint of danger, descend on the vegetable party. There's a lot of things that you could do that would make this cute. You could get rid of the horizon line, and you could make this more of like a scene in a show and drop a theatrical curtain in the background and pattern it out that way. I could see this being kind of a monotone black and white piece with a very colorful theatrical curtain. There's so many directions you can go. I'll be curious to hear what other people are thinking about this. But yeah, with this exact design, I feel like there's a lot of options. But with, in general, a rug where you were trying to do something with personifying vegetables, you could do something completely different. Again, if you were not going with this design, like, for example, I'm thinking about over the summer, I saw a lot of compositions that were aerial shots, what I like to call the God's eye view shot, looking down, at women on the beach, right? I mean, that sounds creepy, but they were, sunbathing, like comedy patterns, and women like laying on towels next to each other. You could equally do something like that with this kind of a composition. In fact, I'm working on, with the Grandma Moses class, I don't want to do any giveaways, but I do have a segment where we're talking about her handling of gardens, and very specific and important because she did mostly exteriors. And it brought to mind a rug that I'm not going to have ready because I wasn't thinking this, but my friend Claire has a Utterly Hooked is her brand. It's a latch hook brand in the UK. And she has this beautiful pattern, and it's all veggies, and it's called the Allotment Garden. And it's basically the God's eye view looking down on this in Britain, the allotment garden is like a community garden. And everybody gets a small piece of earth, which is the allotment, their piece of the allotment. And this design that Claire did at Utterly Hooked, utter like UTT, not like utter, right? Grotesque hand motions. Looking down, you can see that she's broken up the garden into different areas, and there are, it's very geometric pattern, carrots next to carrots like this, and eggplants next to eggplants like this, and potatoes like this. And I'm thinking you could do something similar to that with personified vegetables. That would be a very funny piece. And when I think about it, I'm going to stop. But what a great thing for the kitchen to do something like this. Let's evolve ideas as we go, and let me know if you have an idea too. But what a fun piece for the kitchen. I'm always at a loss for kitchen stuff, but some ideas. I'm going to think of some more ideas, and if I do, I will let you know. We are never going to finish this today. It's so time consuming to look at rugs together because they all are worthy of a good long look, right? Interesting. So, and this has got to be another Cushing. I'm starting to wonder, right, if maybe there was another Cream City kind of theme where they were doing vintage postcards, because there are a remarkable amount of those as well. I know they are great favorites because they are also charming. I like this one with the wild turkey. We often see that Macy's Day, the Tom the Turkey kind of character. It's nice to see a wild turkey running it up. I think he's got the right idea here. Really cute piece. Very pretty landscape too. Very different. This looks to me like another part of the country. Like it looks just, the earth looks different. The landscape looks different. If I were doing this idea with this Cushing postcard for myself, in being such a lover of New England and resident, I would be putting a lot of autumn trees in the background, like late fall kind of thing. Or maybe even the skeleton, I like to say ghost trees when they've lost a lot of their leaves and they're sitting in piles on the floor instead on the ground. I would be doing that for my immediate location. This is absolutely perfect and exciting, but it does look like another part of the country, and it is. So that's one of the things that strikes me about this. I love this piece. Small details make a big deal here, like the shadow underneath the turkey is a great shape. It's a funny shape. It helps a lot. The shadow underneath the girl. And those little sprigs of darkness over on the left, the little sprigs coming out of the ground, that is another thing that for me adds to like very different landscape. Those little sprigs really mirror the larger two trees right above them. So that brings your eye right down into sort of a column, and that is helpful. There is something about this composition that is really working in a clever way. The trees on top are quite heavy and mature trees, right? But the little sprigs at the bottom, it's almost like they're going to stop Turkey from making his escape, but they're so small and benign. It's like, nope, he's going to run right by them. He's good, right? It's like almost like a little story within a story. I feel like there might be some textured wool behind the boy, and if there is, I think that is an ingenious decision. I feel like what we need in this, a lot of brown in the ground here, is some color change, which there is, some really artful shadows, which there are, but also a bit of patterning. And I think that is patterning behind him because my eye keeps going over there. It's very interested in that patch. The rust color of the boy's hair with the blue, very smart, isn't it? This whole thing is very smart. It's just a beautiful piece. This is another lovely piece. I feel like we've seen this, possibly this pattern, in either Atha magazine or Rug Cooking magazine. Another beauty. There is nothing like a lovely still life of pumpkins, like an outdoor still life. And in this case, there is a well-placed branch on the ground that blackbird or crow can get up onto. So absolutely beautiful. And another great way of showing us that there are lots of ways that you can handle pumpkins, right? White pumpkins, many shades of orange pumpkins, but also the pistachio green pumpkins have been very popular lately. I like this very, very light blue background against the orange. Those are opposite complementary colors, so that's gonna work. I like the variety of shapes in the pumpkins and that the small white one is repeating the same shape. I think that's very helpful to the composition. It's just very sweet. The pumpkins opening up like that with that branch give a natural frame for that bird to sit and really be the focal point. Beautiful border. You know, you could use this border on a lot of your fall rugs. Just insert different motif in the center. That would be an interesting exercise too if you found a border that you really loved to say put it on 3 or 4 different rugs, even if you were doing smaller ones, just for the sake of experimenting, and put completely different scenes inside. I wonder how that would work, you know, and I wonder if they would function as a set, even with different central motifs. That would be interesting to figure out. Oh, yeah. Oh, come on. Oh, I just love this stuff so much. So beautiful Halloween hook rug. Let me drag it down a little bit. Maybe I'll make it bigger in a minute. Gosh, that is just so charming. I was thinking, is this a not forgotten design? And then that would be Spruce Ridge, but I don't think so. They typically don't have this much sort of facial expression. These look more, I don't know whose design this is. If you do, please let me know. Oh, hey, Dave. I absolutely love this design. I love everything about this piece. And just to rattle off a few things that I think are really smart, that irregular border in black is really smart. Using chocolate brown as like a marble cake in the background, really smart. Smartest of all, hooking right to the outer border with that color changing, some kind of a plaid, right? That is fantastic. Whenever you, particularly in this season, whenever you, and I know you all saw this video of hooking with the different materials, right? Whenever you find wool, even if it's clothing that you're about to cut up from Goodwill, whenever you find it, if that print or color speaks to you at all, oh, me too, Crystal, I'm coming back to that. You should get it, because even with big stores like Door, they don't always repeat all of their same prints from year to year. Things get retired. And if something gets retired that you are in love with and you saw it last year and you're taking a trip there in 2 months and you think it's going to be there, you hope it's going to be there. I hope it's going to be there for you, but you just never know. Prints are something that you can't do yourself unless you are a phenomenal weaver. Dyeing, we can do, right? But prints, no. So, for example, I found this print the other day in my pile. I don't know where I got it from, but I absolutely love it. You see how there's some light blue in there, some persimmon, some orange, a lot of lilac. I absolutely love it. I have 4 little pieces of it. I'm hooking. I think I don't have it here. I took it home. I'm hooking a background with it, and I'm doing a flower basket design in these colors. These are not the oranges from the kit. These are just some of my oranges left over from the Van Gogh stuff. So I'm going to go crazy with oranges and yellows and do all the flowers in that with this background that has a lot of yellow but also a lot of purple. It's going to be perfect. And then I found this guy. Also, same buckets from heaven, like pennies from heaven, but buckets. And it's navy and orange. And I don't know where I got it. Again, it might be that I found it and I cut up a skirt or something and I just don't remember. But in any case, I absolutely love it. I'm never going to find it again. You know what else I'm never going to find again? This guy. I mean, is this crazy times or what? And it's flecked with different colors to boot. I don't know if you can see, but it is flecked with lots of different little colors. And is this going to hook well? Absolutely not. This is going to be a nightmare. This is going to make me want to overturn every table in the house and set stuff on fire. But That aside, I mean, I'm going to love working with this. It's like a basket weave built into this really scratchy old wool. So, point being, when you find printed wool that you like at all, particularly if it's a good deal, you must get it, because that is the one thing that you will not find again. The background, the border, right? The back border of this one, right? The edging is a print. And I don't recognize this exact print. It could be one of the door wools, but the point is, when you have some of this, you can do this, and you can even, if your idea is, because it creates such interest right at the edge. If your idea is to do an irregular border like this with an image on the inside, and you don't know if you have enough of that patterned wool, I would say start from the border and hook in. Because of course with rug hooking, it doesn't matter where you start. It's not needlepoint, right? So I would start at the border and work in and get as far as I could get. And that's is when I ran out is where I would start making the next border. That is a great way to honor and use up your last bits and bobs of your best patterned wools. But I love black cat next to pumpkin face, scar fabric. Stephanie, your Scarfield, right? Ah, I'm going to show that on gallery night. That is such an exquisite piece. You know, back in the day, and I know you know this, in the whole month of October, I'm sorry, I'm feeling it. I hope it's not like an unpopular decision, but I really love Halloween. And I know not everybody celebrates, and I know a lot of people think it's very pagan, but I just love it so much. I feel October is going to be a very heavy Halloween month with looking at Halloween designs and themes and a lot of storytelling and a lot of history coming at you in October. So that will be a lot of fun for me too. But you remember, and I've said this before, the movie Meet Me in St. Louis, the Halloween scene, right, where they go out trick or treating, and it's that time in history. It's I guess that's like the late 19th century, right? No, that's the 1900s. They aren't. So Halloween is like a known thing, and it's picking up some momentum as a holiday. But there really is no merchandise for Halloween yet, and that's why when you see something that's earlier, that is like the black cat or the pumpkin, and those really were the only two motifs at that time. We weren't looking at witches and stuff yet. But when you see stuff that's older than 1900, it's extremely expensive and valuable and desirable for collectors, because there are so few examples of things from that era, and they were all disposable things like candy containers that were made in paper mache. Those are insanely expensive, as they should be, because they're finite. So when I think about that movie and I think about the sort of iconography in that movie, they really were only using things that were beginning to be images and motifs that we would later associate with Halloween. But we weren't quite there yet with it as a national holiday being something that had, pumpkins, black cats, witches, ghosts, monsters associated with it. We weren't really there yet. Melanie says, I think it's cute that the cat is holding a pumpkin and the pumpkin is holding a cat. I didn't even notice that. Gosh, that is so cute. That sweet exchange. Isn't that cute? And the pumpkins, like the held pumpkin, is making like a shy smiley face at the purple maybe cat. Yeah, it looks like a cat with those lips. It looks very aloof, very, very good. And the costumes are excellent. The striping is excellent. The leggings being horizontal, the pants being vertical, very, very smart. I like the opening of the collar, opening into like a tiny Elizabethan ruff, because trying to put a giant pumpkin head or a giant cat head on the shoulder of something that looks like a human figure is bound to be upsetting and possibly disturbing, because it's not going to match up, is it? But when you do something smart like this design-wise and you open up the neckline so that you're not trying to get an apples for apples anatomical match, this is completely different. This sits very well with me. It gives it a real sense of whimsy and fantasy, and it doesn't look like you have been doing some kind of weird science, right? Mad scientist stuff. But I absolutely love this piece, Trick or Treat, Smell My Feet. Oh, I love it. You know what? And there's a beautiful piece right next to it. Let's start with that next week. Um, it is a leaf design too, isn't it? Isn't that smart, the way that that's broken up? Let's start with that next week, because we are at an hour, and you know that on Friday it is our bingo night. So we'll be looking forward to the bingo night, an autumn theme. I'm going to be putting the bingo cards together soon. If you have bingo cards, you did not lose them in the mail. I was working on Grandma Moses today, so I will send out the bingo cards tomorrow for sure, so that you have a day to print them. If you get your bingo card on Friday, 5 minutes before the show, that's also fine. And I'll just remind you, there are 12 different bingo cards. So some people buy all 12 because they're guaranteed to win. And I'm not going to play the math game, but it works out well. But in any case, there are 12 different cards, and if you buy more than one, but not the entire set, you will not get doubles, right? Because I'm trying to keep it lively for you, and I want you to see as many of the images on your sheet as you need to. You do not have to print out the bingo sheets in color if you're worried about the ink and the expense of the ink and all that. You can easily do fast draft just so you can see what we're crossing off as we go. You can also just watch the show, look at the rugs, and hear about the rugs that we're looking at, because it is just a regular show. There happens to be a game embedded in the show, but it is a regular show. So if you have a bingo ticket and you're a winning bingo card, it doesn't matter if you actively play or not, because if your card is a winner, you will be notified whether you are watching live, playing, or not. You will be notified that, for example, you bought card number and card number won. I don't want to bring anybody bad luck, you know. You'll be notified, and you will get the same amount of gift certificate money as everybody else. So, all right. So, oh, Ryan, are you going to play bingo for the first time? We haven't played for ages. That's right. We have not played for ages. It will be so much fun. I will explain it once more. Super straightforward. On Friday night when we get there, ribboncandyhooking@gmail.com. Send me your fall pictures. I'm not going to use the Halloween ones for this show, but I would love the Halloween ones for something else. So I will see you then. Have a great tomorrow, everybody. And remember, if you want Amish toothbrush, that's still available for tomorrow. It would be watching only, but participating live. And then Saturday, Hooking with Yarn is happening. And then in the evening, Designing Like Grandma Moses. It is bound to be the best one yet, particularly for rug hookers, I have to say. So I will see you all then. Have a great tomorrow, everybody. Yes, thumbs up. Thank you so much. Like, share, subscribe, Patreon, all that good stuff. And I will be putting up all the new bundles this afternoon. That is the next thing.